recording. Sharing. Do you guys see the recording icon anywhere?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we're recording now, just so everybody knows. And I did disable the waiting room so that everybody should be able to join in. So hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you guys see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like no responses. I think it's a yes. So welcome everybody. This is going. My name is Valeria Durán Ruiz, and I am a co-organizer of the Chicago Flutter Meetup. Welcome everybody. Because of COVID, you know that we're all doing like these online now. So wherever you are in the world, you can join us now. So that's silver lining of this happening. So today I'm going to be doing a presentation on what is so cool about Dart. And basically I wanted to do like a soft introduction for anybody who is new. I have met a lot of people who are starting their journey with Flutter, and I just thought that it would be really cool to have a presentation on like how to get started with Dart, help with like what are some like pros of the language, what can we work on, and mostly like how can you get started, and really cool resources that I have found that have helped me come from iOS really, and then go into Dart and Flutter development. And here is, this is Dash, and she is going to be helping us out today. She is the mascot of the Dart language, and she's pretty cool. And she's going to be right here for us. So to get started, a little bit about me. I don't know if you can see him right there, but that's my puppy. So in my full-time job, I am an iOS developer. I mostly work with Swift and Objective-C and Bluetooth networking and BLE devices. And for the last few years, I've been working on a home automation app. So that's a little bit about me. And then in my personal projects, I love to work with Flutter. So I'm also a Flutter developer. Then at work, I'm also the sustainable engineering lead. And what that means is that I really, really am very passionate about documentation and keeping things like up to par in that sense. Then I also, here are some of the groups that I'm a part of here at the bottom. And one of them, as you can see, is Flutteristas. This is a group for women and non-binary Flutter developers, or anybody interested in Flutter. So if you're a designer, if you're web dev, anything, come join us. I will have some info at the end of this presentation of how you can join us so that you can join in the Flutter fun. Then also on my personal life, I love to dance and play with my dog Baloo. You can see some pictures of him right there. And also, yeah, this is going to be a quick resource for like a soft introduction to Dart. And I will be sharing this recording in the Chicago Flutter Meetup YouTube channel. So it will be available for posterity. So also, I'm also an ambassador of Women Tech Makers. So I'm here to power through for all women and girls for education. So getting started. This will be like an overview, strengths and weaknesses that I have found and that you should be aware of when starting with Dart. Then some of the main features. Then it's how it's like fast and multi-platform. Mostly because we use it for Flutter, and how it works really well for you to like just build apps across all your devices. Then there will be a little bit of a Dart tour, and mostly because I really want to show you about the Dart tour in the docs of Dart, because I think it's such an amazing way to get you up and running with Dart. And also we'll build a little something of our own. So some of the strengths and weaknesses, we're not going to go super deeply into how we achieve like null safety and stuff like that, but I wanted to like share this with you, and I have a lot of like links and resources in this presentation. I will be like in the YouTube channel when we upload this. I will share all of these so you guys have access to them, and also I will find a way to hopefully share the slides maybe over Twitter or something. We'll figure that out. But yeah, some of the strengths of Dart is that it has a very familiar syntax if you come from maybe Swift or more of the more modern, like higher level languages. Then null safety is something that the team has been working on for quite a while, and that now has been like in the mouths of everyone lately. And yeah, we're looking good on that end. And then we also use like future APIs for like async-await, and then isolates for concurrency. And that's how we handle that in like, it would be something like GCD if you are an iOS developer. Then some of the weaknesses, it's not super popular yet. So like if you're hiring, there's not that many developers that use Dart, but I think that that will change, especially now that we have Flutter. And also, I always am asked to compare Dart versus JavaScript. There's quite a few things that are not similar. Just for starters, there's a lot of how like Dart handles like even to like the deepest level, whereas like first of all, it's just not just scripting, where you can use it like even to build like mobile apps, as we know now with Flutter. So, but JavaScript is still alive and well. So I'm not here to tell you that, oh, Dart just like, oh, infinitely better. You know, it all depends on the project that you're working on. So, you know, it's not necessarily a weakness of the language, but if it comes up, if somebody was going to ask about JavaScript, here we go. So some of the main features of the Dart language, it is a class-based object-oriented language. And what that means is that if you're used to object-oriented programming and the way that we build objects and the way that we structure and have like the design of our apps in general, then you are going to be able to use Dart and use it in the way that you're used to building your code. Then it is statically typed. Also, something that I wanted like to bring up is that I love like the pub package manager, and I think it's a major like pro of the language, because all you have to do, like whenever I'm building Flutter things, all I have to do is like, what is it, like get packages or something like that, and I can just run it in VS Code, and then it just like magically works out. So I think that is just such a cool feature of how that is managed. Then it is a general purpose, especially like mainly focused on UI, and what that means is that it is built to be fast and to work with making your user interface like responsive. So something else that I absolutely love about Dart specifically is that I have found, because of the way the syntax works and because it's an object-oriented language, I have found that coming in from mobile and coming in as an Objective-C Swift developer, I found it possible for me to just go into technically like go into web. And then a lot of my friends that were web developers could just get up and running and start building mobile apps. So I think that that is such a beautiful thing, that we have a tool now that, I don't want to say lowers the bar for entry, but I think that's great. I think it's wonderful that web developers and mobile developers can get like closer to each other, and that we can like, mobile developers can just start doing web and web developers can start doing mobile. I think that's wonderful. And then some extra features that technically they're not features of the language, but they absolutely are. I absolutely think that this is incredibly important. So before, when I mentioned it is not a super popular language yet, here's the thing. With the community that we have, and like I mentioned, we have Flutteristas, and then we have the Chicago Flutter Meetup right here. The thing is that even though there's not that many people who do Dart, who code in Dart, because the community is so close-knit and so open to community and helping each other, then I have found that it doesn't seem like it's a problem. Because the thing about there not being that many people who use it, on one end is like when you're trying to hire people, but then on the other end, for us as developers, really what matters is that you have the resources that you need, and that if you have questions, you have people that you can go ask. And I have definitely found that with Dart and Flutter in general, just because people are so willing to help. So the community is definitely, like, I see it as a feature of the language. Then something amazing that we are going to go through that we are going to use today is DartPad, which is also, again, it's in my list of extra features, but because technically it's not like a language feature, but it absolutely is. I have found it incredibly helpful and important in my development of Flutter apps, and then in learning how to use Dart. And what that is, by the way, it's a web IDE that not only runs your Dart code, but can also run Flutter, meaning that it can build your user interface like right there on the web, which is usually not the case for like web IDEs. So it is super, super helpful. And then the other thing that is just amazing, it really is, with Dart, is their documentation. And I'll also be showing you guys a little bit, and that's why I have these other tabs open, because I am going to show you a bit of that. And their documentation is just fantastic. There is so much that you can learn, and we're going to get into that, but
Can I add something?
Yeah.
While the US is still getting on board with Flutter and Dart, they're quite popular in Asia and Eastern Europe, starting to get more in more of the European continent and the UK. So there's actually more, it seems, on the other side of the world from us here in the US. I'm looking for jobs, and there's a lot that are coming from the other side of the world.
Nice. That's so cool to hear. Yeah. So that is, and that's a great point that you bring up, because not only we have like a large community to learn from, but something I have also found is that I have been able to find information in like my native language. So I have been able to find communities that do Flutter and Dart in Spanish, and it is so, so helpful to be able to have access to like technical knowledge in my native language. And I know that it is the case for a lot of other folks who also maybe English is not your first language, so it's not like your preferred method of learning, just because it's not your first language. So thanks for bringing that up, Steph. And that is like such like a beautiful thing that we also have with Dart, that we do have availability of like blogs and just people on Twitter and stuff like that that speak other languages that are not only English. So I do find that also really, really helpful. So this talk is specifically Dart, but I have to mention Flutter when we're mentioning Dart. Here I did include a phone. I don't know, I've never made an app for a phone. I don't know. Oh, by the way, Steph, do you know if we can? I think that we could run Dart. No, I'm sorry, not a phone, a watch. I think we could run Dart on a watch.
Not on Apple Watches yet. Mm-hmm. My understanding that the wearables aren't available yet. Oh. There are, like, if you think about when we were at Interact last year, there are other Android devices. Remember the clock app? Yeah. And so there are things like that, but wearables themselves, I don't think they're there yet. I wouldn't be surprised if those are coming once they get null safety, and especially the stuff that Kate presented this morning in Flutter Vikings. Yeah. So it's coming. I don't know about Android because I'm not an Android user, so I can't speak to that side.
Yeah, thanks, Steph. So that's why I put it like a little bit to the side, because I was like, maybe that'll be coming, but mostly like tablets, then phones, and then this is supposed to be a computer screen. And then the web, those are here. So you can build to all your devices.
Now,
Future
one other thing is, you know, they're working on Flutter for desktop with the new direction that Apple's taking. I've got an iOS, a couple of iOS apps. I got notified from Apple that depending on what it is, you can go and sign it that it'll actually work on the Mac with the same code you used with iOS. I've got one of my apps, my Flutter app, I don't have to change, but my one that I did in Swift, I'd have to make some updates too.
Oh.
And that's without even doing Flutter desktop. So anyway.
Yeah, interesting to know. Is that based on like the new Apple Silicon chips?
Yeah,
okay.
It'll have to be on Apple Silicon. But, and of course I don't have that yet.
I think none of us do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to keep our ears to the ground with like old companies coming up with like different things and stuff. But yeah, like it is a language that you can that is multi-platform and that you can build to like all sorts of devices. And possibly watch in the future. I don't know. And then, yeah, there is some info, and you can find it online and in the, it's not in the language tour, but it is like in the Flutter docs and stuff, on how the layers of Flutter are built. But basically, like the entire framework of Flutter is built with Dart, even to the lowest level that is shared like with the C++ engine. So I do recommend that you get comfortable with Dart if you would like to start developing for Flutter applications. Then a little bit of the Dart tour. I just put this in here because I'm going to take you to the DartPad, which are all the things that, like I'm mentioning a lot of like keywords here, but basically the Dart tour, and it's what I mostly wanted to show you guys today. This is available in the like dart.dev section. So I'm just gonna go way to the top super quick. So this is a tour of the Dart language, and it's like a bit extensive, but it's actually not a hard read at all. I really enjoy the way that Google in general, to be honest, but the Dart and Flutter team do their documentation. Like as a documentation fiend, I find it just superb. So these are just some of the things that they sort of like show you how to use, what they are, and it's a great way to, it's more than it is to get your feet wet with the language, but I would say that going through like the tour of the Dart language docs, you get quite comfortable with like what you're doing, what the syntax is, and all that sort of stuff. So I absolutely recommend that you check it out, and that is what this link right here is. So that is the first thing that I absolutely recommend that you check out. Then these are just some things that I wanted to show you guys. So I made a little DartPad for us. So this is what I was sharing before of what like DartPad is and how much I absolutely love it. So this is the like web, like online IDE that I told you guys about. It runs Dart, and it can run Flutter as well. And then something that I find super, super cool is that since this is like to use with Dart, it also includes this documentation part that I find like really cool and that I wasn't expecting. Usually you get like, especially with like online IDEs, you would have like the place where you write your code, which is right here, and then the console where you print things to essentially. But then this documentation portion like shows you the docs from Dart of what kind of that represents, and then as you're like writing your code, it also keeps track of that. So I just find that really, really cool. So just to get our feet wet with what Dart code can look like. So usually when you open a DartPad, it comes with this main function, which if you have written code before, you might be familiar with, like the main function of your application or of your code. It's where your code starts. So that's all we really need to know about this for now. Then some built-in types that they have and how to use them. They have like numbers, and then in there they have like doubles and stuff like that. And again, all of this, I recommend that you check out the language tour. Then these are some ways that you can declare different like variables in this case. So like the first one, and this is super, super familiar to what Swift would look like for any of the iOS developers available that are here today. So how you would make, so something dynamic, that's what a variable is. And then if you would like to declare like the type of it, you can also declare it like this. So for example, and there is no need to do, I don't know if you guys can see that, sorry. There is no need to, for example, for a double, there's actually no need to type in like 1.0. You can actually just write it as if it were an integer, and it's fine. It'll still like understand it. And then for constants, you can do const and then the name of your constant and then declare it that way as well. Then we can also do strings, and then something cool that we have is string interpolation. And the way that you use it in Dart is that you just need to use, so for example, here I am declaring my string, and all I need to do to interpolate the string is to use the $sign and then call it right here. And that's how you interpolate in Dart. Then something else that there is a difference in like a compile time between a final and a const, just so you know. And you can see like exactly what that is in the language tour in the Dart docs. So there is a difference at compile time, but basically these are two ways that you can declare constants that are not going to change. So that's why I made like this one, always true equals true. Oh, sorry, I did something.
Another thing, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry. You want me to hang up?
Sorry, what?
Oh, shoot. Sorry. Do you want me to hang up? I keep interrupting you.
Oh, you're fine.
People can follow along by going to either the URL she has at the top or dartpad.dev. It's free. That's one of the things I love about Dart and Flutter development is the open source.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I absolutely love that too. This is a free resource. And I have found it to be super, super helpful. And then, so I'm just going to go through these super quick, and then I am going to show you guys some code that I didn't write, but it's just available in DartPad. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. Like it blows my mind that we can have like a web IDE that shows us our UI as we're building it. Like that is just so cool. And it just takes a second to build. Then some of the data structures, you may know these in like Swift, for example, as arrays or in other languages, but here we call them a list, and this is how you would declare it. I keep mentioning Swift because I know that there's at least one other fellow iOS developer in the phone call. Then we also have sets and maps. Maps, you may know them as dictionaries, again in Swift. And how you would add, so you could build a map or dictionary like this, or you can also, this is how you would do it if you want to just start adding to that map, is that you can just declare it like up top and then start adding your values like this. And then just the last one that I wanted to highlight, because I do get this question asked sometimes, and it's like how to declare functions in Dart, and how do you make stuff optional or like or required in your signature. Sorry, my throat's getting really dry. So this is what that would look like. Bool is how we call Booleans. So you would, and this is your return type, then the name of whatever you want to call your function. And then just so you guys know, by default, your parameters are not required. And if they are required, then you need to put an @required just right in front of it. And that's how you make it either optional or required. And then that's what like the signature of that would look like. Then I wanted to just show you guys super quick how we could do like build some like a data structure. So I decided to go with a binary tree, and so a data structure, and then just show you guys like what like depth first traversal would look like. So it is similar to similar kind of how you would do it in Swift, for example. So here I made, and so I wanted to show you guys a few things here. So this is how you would declare a class, and then this would be your initializer. Then in Dart, what we use, in other languages, you may use self, for example, but here in Dart, we use this .data to be like, well, this would be yourself. Data is just what I called my variable, my final actually. Then this is an example of using a generic type. So in node, this is what I'm calling the name of my class. And essentially a binary tree or any tree is made up of nodes. So that is what I'm declaring right here. And then it's a binary tree because I just have like a left node and a right node. And then that's it. And this would be like your declaration. And then this is what your traversals will look like. So for anybody familiar with binary trees or depth first search, we have pre, in, and post order. And what that essentially means is that you have your node and then their left and right child, and you usually go like left to right when you are traversing. And then you would do like your pre-order means that you look at the node first and then left right. In order means that it goes to the center, so it's inside the order, so it goes left node and then the right gets traversed. And then post order means that it goes post your left and right, so it's left, right, and then your node. And this is what that would look like. You would check for that the node exists, you would check for null. And then you would look at your node, and then, so this is the way that you would call it recursively. And you go your left and then your right, and that's how you would go about that. So that was just like building, having a little fun. And then something that I wanted to show you guys is what is available already if you want to go look at DartPad right now. So this is, for example, how to run the Fibonacci sequence of numbers, and then you just hit run, and then this is the console of how it runs it for you. And then there's a few in here. Then this is like mix-ins, and there's like a little bit more sample code for you to look at. But then something that I really want to show you guys because I think it's amazing, it's and this I use all the time, and it is using Flutter on DartPad. So all this code is building this widget over here, and you can actually not only see it, but it is like your draggable button, everything is just working for you, and you can actually like do this. So while I'm developing Flutter apps, I come here all the time whenever I have just like something super quick that I want to just kind of see what it will look like, and I find it so cool. So it is something that I totally recommend that you guys use. And I just love this. It sounds so fun. So yeah, there's some different things that we have available with DartPad. And something else that I wanted, so then the other thing that, and I already showed you guys this, and I will share, when I share the YouTube video, I will share all the links that I'm sharing today. But yeah, you can go and check out the tour of the Dart language, which I absolutely recommend if you are starting out with Dart. Then, sorry, it's not letting me. Okay. So then something else that I have found incredibly useful, and this is not mine, this is by Andrea Bisotto, and it's Code with Andrea. And there is this Dart versus Swift comparison. And for anyone coming from iOS, this has been just invaluable. It's quite in depth. And they go through like all this sort of stuff and how to do it, and like how Swift compares versus Dart, and most importantly, like how you do something with Dart, how you do something with Swift, and how you would be used to looking at it. And I just think that is so, so cool. So I will also be, I shared this link in the chat, and I will also be sharing it like in Twitter, on Twitter tonight probably, because I just think it's super cool, and I'll put it in the YouTube channel. And then something else that I recommend that you do if you are ever like struggling to find how to do is that there are so many like open source libraries that use Dart, and so many things that people have built with Flutter and Dart already, that for the most part, a lot of stuff is already built for you. So I would encourage you to, for example, if you want to build a tree like I was building it before, just come in here in Google and just look up if there's something available for you already. So for example, here we can see that in PubDev, somebody has already built a tree. So here you can see what that will look like. So in PubDev, you can find what all that is. Here is like the popularity, pub points, stuff like that. And then you can check out their examples, how to install different versions, and then usually what the scores are. And that gives you like a pretty good idea of if it's like a good place for you to, a good thing for you to look at. So something else is that to go more into depth into the Dart API, also, because it's not only always going to be like some external libraries, sometimes it's stuff that like you don't know yet about, like that Dart already has. So for example, Dart already comes with a Q class, and you can see it in the Dart Dev API. So again, just encourage you to like check it out, check out just on Google first if you're trying to come up with like a data structure, or how to structure your data, or like a design pattern that you're thinking about. Maybe there's already somebody who has worked on that. So that can sometimes be very useful. Then something else that I am going to be sharing as well is something that I have found really helpful, is this programmingidioms.org. So sometimes when I come in here, so this is not like exactly like the way that I wrote my node class, but it's kind of similar. So it shows you like something like a different idea of how you can, in this case, build a tree structure. And this is kind of cool actually, because if you make your nodes like a list, it doesn't need to be just a binary tree. It can be like, it can have any number of children. So this would be how you would build a node for a tree that is not necessarily binary, for example. So yeah, this programmingidioms.org website has been pretty cool, and basically it can show you how to build with like a given language, and you just put in the keywords like how to, for example, here's like depth first traversing, breadth first traversing, for a tree. But I find this, yeah, like really useful whenever I'm like struggling on how to build like a class or something with Dart. And now going back to the presentation. So those are a few of the things that I wanted to show you guys. Then some of the main takeaways from today. So Dart is a great match for Flutter because it's very fast. Like we always talk about that whenever you meet Flutter developers. I know that I absolutely love, and I do, the whatchamacallit, Steph, are you there? The little thunderbolts.
Hot reload.
Yes.
Hot reload and hot restart.
Hot reload. So I know that that is very, very useful whenever we're developing. I know that I use DartPad all the time for whenever, because I'm usually working in like small like unit widgets, and then I just like build that way and build like, think of my widget, build it, and then start working my way through there. But of course, building your actual app is super important and something that you're not going to get away from. And it's actually quite painless, I find it, using with Flutter. So, and it's fit to build like full-fledged mobile applications. There's so many like really cool Flutter projects that have already been built. And then I don't have the resource on here right now because I just thought of it, but there's from G. Skinner, for example, something that we saw at Flutter Interact this, not this year, but like December 2019, they showed, they had a collection of, they were built with widgets, of course, because it's Flutter, but a collection of snippets or something like that. They called it a name, but there were just these beautiful animations that I totally recommend that you take a look at. Yeah, and there's like a lot of Flutter collections out on GitHub if you want to see what else people have built. Then also, because of the familiar syntax, I do find it kind of fast to onboard, and then also because of the resources that we have available. So again, the language tour for Dart is very, very useful if you're getting started. And then what I mentioned before with like web developers and mobile developers being able to work on the tech stack of the, the tech stack is Dart and Flutter, but being able to work with the technology that you usually wouldn't be working on, because like I had never done web development before Flutter came along for me. So that I think that is like a beautiful, beautiful feature. Then to learn more about Dart, and I am going to again be sharing all these, but the docs are super, super important. And you can find them at dart.dev. And then on Medium, if you like to read Medium, there's quite a few people who've written Dart articles. So you can, in Medium, just like search, and this is a link for that. You can search Dart and it'll take you to like all the articles that they built. Then this is like a YouTube video that the Google team made to introduce people to Dart and some of its main features, then why Flutter uses Dart. Then, by the way, a great resource that I use myself is the London App Brewery's Flutter Bootcamp. I think it's available on Udemy, and it's the one that the London App Brewery built in conjunction with the Flutter team, and they go over how to use Flutter and how to build with Flutter, but they also go a lot through the Dart language. So I found that really, really cool. And then I already talked about the Code with Andrea Swift to Dart, which as an iOS developer, I found really important. And then programming idioms, I really like it. It's like how to build in all these different languages. Then
the London App Brewery is a little cheaper on their website than the Udemy. Yes.
Oh,
it does go, they put it on sale, like it was just on sale the same price on Udemy as it was on their site.
Oh, okay.
So when I started with Flutter, I did it on their website.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at it recently, but one of the things I really, really like about Udemy is you can do bookmarks and you can do notes and you can search, and it searches through this transcript. So if you want to go back and find out how to do something, so it's worth bookmarking and then coming back, watching it. You know, sometimes it's $10.99, sometimes it's $12.99, sometimes it's not on sale, but it will come back, especially with the US holidays coming up. There'll be something around Thanksgiving, which is next week. So my preference is the Udemy. I bought it on both, but anyway, that's my input.
Yeah, it's flat $10 on the website. I mean, whichever is lower, I think that's a win.
Nice.
And it's an amazing resource.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember that, so I only have it in Udemy. I actually hadn't checked out their website yet. So thanks for sharing that, because I will go check them out to see what else they have. They've had quite a few like really cool courses. The London App.
Yeah, they have a course for app design. They have a course for app marketing. Like really cool videos and stuff in their websites. appbrewery.co. Yes.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, I'm also gonna go check that out.
So what they do is they run them on their website, and then after a while, then they put them on Udemy.
Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, so yeah, they're a really cool resource. And I really enjoyed that boot camp. And what else? So yeah, so join the community. Again, I really think that this is a very important part of, it has been very important for me in my Flutter journey and learning Dart, to be able to have people to ask and to work with them. And I don't know, it just brightens my day to be able to talk to people and share. So some of the community things that I have to share with you. I am on Twitter, by the way. Shoot me a tweet anytime. My Twitter is Valeriana Get. Then also join us in the Chicago Flutter Meetup. Since we're now online, like, it doesn't matter where you live, please come join us. And we are on YouTube, like I've been mentioning, and I will put this up on our YouTube channel as soon as possible. And then also, so this is my invitation for all women and non-binary folks that are in here. If you know anybody, by the way, that's interested in Flutter, even not as a developer, even if you're a designer or anything, we're just a community that we really support each other in your Flutter and Dart journey. So if you would like to join us, then please email flutteristas@gmail.com, and those are like what we would like to see on there: your preferred name and last name, your user, then any social media you'd like to share with us, and then your location and time zone. And if you would like to share your birthday as well, then we also like to say happy birthday on the day. Yeah, so again, that's flutteristas@gmail.com. And
the information that's on there, so we, as the people who manage Flutteristas, we have it as resources if we need to go in and look. Also add your GitHub, because we now have our own GitHub community there too, and I can add you when I add you with that. But so that's why birthday, it's not like we advertise it, it's put on our Flutterista calendar and only the Flutteristas can see it.
Yes. And by the way, if you don't know, like, who was talking right now, that's Steph, and she is one of the organizers of Flutteristas. I would really appreciate that, Steph. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming today. And that has been my presentation on Intro to Dart. So are there any questions from anybody?
Could you like tell about the dynamic type in Dart?
Could I what, sorry?
The dynamic type?
Yeah. What about dynamic type?
Can we sort of like explain what dynamic type is? Like, we all know that the like bool and all kind of stuff, right? But I think the different one here is the dynamic type.
So do you mean generics?
Yeah.
All right. So I would say we can go to the
dynamics are also set when you're doing future with async and await. But if you're passing something, you can define it and have it as dynamic because you don't know what it's going to be when it's coming.
Okay.
Or when it gets returned from the API.
Yeah, something cool about dynamic type, or like how they call it here, generics, is that it's really useful when you don't know. It's also really useful, and they do mention that on here, and it's true, that it makes it makes your code more reusable when you may know what's coming and where you're going to use it, but maybe it's something that might change in different parts of your code. So, for example, if you have like, and here they have like, actually I'll use, I think they have like in here an example that way you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so for example, here they made like 2 of these like different classes, and they're basically the same, except that this value is going to be a string, and then this one is an object. And if you have, if you don't use generics, you would have to have 2 different classes to define this, even though they're basically the same thing. Whereas if you use generics, then you could just declare, since you know that depending on the type, on where you use it, it's either going to be an object or a string, then you just make this a generic type, and that way it'll be extensible to more code. So that is, those are like two times that I know of that you would want to use generics, is to make your code more extensible and reusable, and also in the cases that you don't know, you just that you actually just really don't know what's coming back, like what data type is coming back. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, generics are very, it's a very powerful feature to have. By the way, if you're an iOS dev, you might know this as any, and you might be used to seeing it. And then here we would, this is how you would declare a generic. Any other questions? And back to the DartPad. Anything in here that maybe wasn't super clear that you guys would like some clarification on? Okay, cool. Going once, going twice. All right. So I'm going to stop recording right now. Let's see. Stop recording because that's like the end of the presentation. So thank you so much, you guys, for coming. I would just stop recording for now, and then we can like continue to hang out if you want. But thank you so much for coming today. I will be sharing the links in the YouTube channel, and then yeah. So thank you.